You think like Holy Land is just where like everything's great and I get everything I want all the time. That's not what it is.
Which is so funny.
That's not what it is, because what it actually is you're going to start to like love. You're going to start to love, and you're going to be good, and you're going to care about people, and there's like a satisfaction in wanting them to be happy and doing them good. You can't understand that right now in
Humility,
the state that you're in.
Things like that.
You think that's nothing. Why do I care about that? That's the greatest happiness. It's the greatest sense of meaning in life. That's where we're going, and the destination and the journey are intertwined. This is the next temptation that you go through. This is Exodus 16. 1 through 4.
The whole Israelite community set out from Elim and came to the desert of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the second month after they'd come out of Egypt. In the desert, the whole community grumbled against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, "If only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. But you've brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death." Did you say until verse 4?
4, yeah.
Then the Lord said to Moses, "I'll rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day and gather enough for that day. And in this way, I will test them and see whether they will follow my instructions." So give them a blessing, but it'll be a test too.
Yeah. Like it's a very serious situation, and they had good reason to complain. It sounds like a teenager. Like, you bring us out here to kill us all, Dad?
Yeah. Don't teenagers sometimes feel like their parents are out to destroy their happiness or their personality or something? So,
and the whole congregation of the children of Israel came to the wilderness of Sin, means to another state of trial. So this is the same people on the same journey, which is you. You already did the first two. Now we're going to this one. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured, symbolizes grief over the severity of the trial.
Like they got through that last thing. It was great. The water they were able to drink the water. What you get after that is worse.
And then you're ready for the next one. This has to do with a third trial, a trial over the lack of anything pleasant or good. It comes next in line after the previous trial, which was due to a lack of truth. So
I do think there's a sequence here of some, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I don't know how clear it becomes in everyone, but it's like, this is describing, maybe you could look back at your life at some point and be like, oh yeah, that was kind of the lack of truth. That was kind of the lack of good. So he goes on to say, people who have not been taught about human rebirth imagine that we can be reborn without being tested. Some suppose we can become reborn after undergoing a single crisis. I thought, silly me.
Isn't that cute?
I thought a single crisis would be enough. It needs to be known, though. Like, it just, when you think only one crisis.
Did you know I went through a crisis?
Yeah. It needs to be known, though, that no one is reborn without trials, and that the trials come one after another in great numbers. The reason is that rebirth takes place in order to kill off the life of the old self and instill new heavenly life. Struggle then is clearly inevitable. And I would say if he didn't say that, if he didn't say, it's going to be struggle after struggle, you would say, well, that's not talking about life, because life is struggle after struggle. So I believe it because it's already happening. This is the confirmation.
Yeah. It's another kind of at first bitter truth, but when you see that, just one application, it's not going to do it. It's not going to change you overnight into an angel.
Well, but it can alleviate too. Like, let's say you get a cold, but you never had a cold, and you don't know how a cold is supposed to progress, and you're like, oh no, like right now I feel like achy and tired, and then the next day I woke up and now I have congestion. That's just what happened. This is part of the normal course of it. Like that's what it's saying with this. It's like, yeah, that's right. It's not back to back, but here you are. I thought for sure by the time I was 40, it's over. Like the trials are done. I packed them in early.
Done and dusted, as the British say.
Yeah, but it turns out, you keep going because these are important and you make good progress in them. So then, famously, God provides sustenance so that he doesn't kill them all for lack of food, and this is the manna. To kill this whole assembly with hunger means that they would die from the lack of anything pleasurable or good.
Because there is an element of deprivation. I mean, I'm sure you have felt it, where there was something that was giving you great joy, and then you realize it's actually killing you, or it's damaging your relationships, or something like that. So have to move in a different direction. But the first thing you go through is just this deprivation, like the void without that thing. Horrible.
You can feel this bleakness of just like when you're going through something hard, and you're like, is this how life is going to be forever? Or like, I can't keep doing this forever, When the time comes to instill the neighborly kindness that constitutes our spiritual life, the delight in lower pleasures that previously constituted our earthly level life is moved to the side. Once it is moved aside, we enter a time of trial. This is because that we believe that if we are robbed of our delight in lower pleasures, like everything going well is a lower pleasure. Like, I'm just getting everything out.
Yeah.
We are being deprived of life altogether because our earthly level life consists in that delight, or that goodness as we call it. We are unaware that when this component of our life is put aside, the Lord replaces it with spiritual delight and spiritual goodness. Such goodness is what the manna symbolizes. The earlier sort of goodness or pleasure is meant by the meat and bread in Egypt, and the removal of it is meant by the hunger.
A lot of people think about spirituality, and it's a very cool thing to think about. He had a fascinating definition right there of what spiritual is, which was the most ordinary as dirt definition you can imagine. Mm-hmm. It's neighborly kindness. Oh, I wanted something esoteric and cool.
Levitate.
I wanted to go to the far side of some other planet or something. It's neighborly kindness. That's that's the big, huge thing. That's what is actually spiritual that kicks in there.
But that's not even the end of it. There's another trial.
You mean Swedenborg has more to say?
Yeah, that's right. This next one is the wilderness of Rephidim.
The whole Israelite community set out from the desert of Sin, traveling from place to place as the Lord commanded. They camped at Rephidim, but there was no water for the people to drink. What? I thought we already dealt with this.
Yeah.
So they quarreled with Moses. It's what you naturally do, right? There's a problem.
He led you there. Yeah.
Blame the leader, yeah. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us water to drink." And Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? You think I'm enjoying myself?"
Don't shoot the messenger.
"Why do you put the Lord to the test?" Interesting. But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to make us and our children and livestock?" Okay, there's an escalation. It's not just us, but our children and our livestock die of thirst. Then Moses cried out to the Lord. He sounds a little frustrated himself. "What am I to do with these people? They're almost ready to stone me." The Lord answered Moses, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and take in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile, and go. I'll stand there before you by the rock at Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel.
Man, that like, you should just left us in Egypt. This is that life gets harder when you're trying to be spiritual, when you're trying to I want to go back into my ego. I want to go back into not caring,
Yeah, and there's a few passages where Swedenborg says that the inner meaning, or the deepest level of meaning in Scripture, is actually the feelings in the text. And I feel a lot of feelings in that. I can relate to that. I can relate to the children of Israel, because of course they're fed up. I can relate to Moses, like, don't blame me, like, who am I? And so Moses is complaining to God, and
You relate to God, like, okay, here, I'll give you something. So this is what it says about that. The whole congregation of the children of Israel set out symbolizes a step forward in spiritual life. We are making progress. Here it symbolizes a development or step forward in spiritual life, that is, an increase of spiritual life, which is what constantly results from times of trial. So no matter, you're going through it, just know you got more spiritual life and more spiritual life.
You may not even really be aware of it, but yeah, your spiritual life level is going up with each of these things.
The reason times of trial bring an increase in spiritual life is that through them, religious truth is confirmed and is united with neighborly kindness. So you're like, oh, this is real. I've had that experience. Like, oh, this is actually real because I needed this. And then also you understand why it's there in the first place, because you get there's an urgency with which the human race needs help. We need to help our neighbor. Suffering's not good. Happiness is good. And now I get what this material is for, what these ideas are for. So that can be a potent combo. Setting out on their travels means in accordance with a pattern of life designed to embrace the life of heaven. The reason it means a pattern designed to embrace the life of heaven is that the way the Lord gives us heavenly life is through trials, which are being depicted as the travels of the children of Israel in the wilderness. And there was no water for the people to drink symbolizes a lack of truth and of its restorative powers, because truth and a knowledge of it revive our spiritual life in the same way water and drink revive our physical life.
And so it's not just sort of that the Holy Land is somewhere over there. You're actually getting the spiritual. I mean, the spiritual life is the goal, right?
Yeah.
That is the remedy, and you're getting it in stages as you go. It's not just like you have to go through all this nonsense and then at the end you get a prize eventually or something.
It's not like when you're doing skee ball and you don't get a prize, you just get tickets, and you have to get all the tickets, and at the end you hand them to the person. This is like you're getting little prizes every time.
That's right. So much better.
That's a good analogy. The reason the focus here is on being tested in regard to truth is that the focus just before was on being tested in regard to goodness, and after the test that the people received manna, which symbolizes goodness. When the Lord gives us goodness, a yearning for truth comes over us, and the intensity of that yearning matches our shortfall in truth. Goodness constantly seeks truth. I think that's cool. Any genuine, people are seekers. You're a seeker. I think the state of being a seeker is like you got more goodness than you have truth. So you're like, I know something's out there. Yeah. I gotta find it.
I've got a hunger.
Man,
yeah,
that's cool.
Thirst
any genuine desire for truth comes from goodness. It is like food, which cannot nourish our physical life without drink. Food seeks drink to combine with it so that it can serve a use. This then is the reason that a trial relating to truth follows directly after a trial relating to goodness. A trial is an attack on what we love and desire. That if you want, a trial is somehow something in life is coming at and attacking something you love, something you desire.
And I love the way Swedenborg takes these biblical stories, which could feel a little bit like, it feels arbitrary. They went through this and then they're all thirsty and they get mad, and then the water's healed for them. Then they're all hungry and they're mad about that, and then they get the manna, and then that makes them thirsty, and then it's water. But when you get to water, it feels like, well, we already did water. But the way that he explains it, it makes so much sense. That now you've got this engine, that desires that truth in a different way. Because you've got this manna, this sort of bread from heaven that's making you thirstier for the truth.
We're doing conditioning. I thought we were just doing weights and we did conditioning before. You gotta keep doing it. Why are you testing Jehovah? Means against the divine, whose help they despair of. This can be seen from the symbolism of testing Jehovah as complaining against the divine. The reason it means to the point where they despair of his help is that this is what complaints during challenging times involve. Spiritual crisis consists of endless despair over one's salvation, mild at first but gradually more serious. What do you have on offer? Endless despair. Until it finally becomes, okay, so I don't know if I despair over my salvation, but listen, until it finally becomes a skepticism that almost denies the presence and assistance of the divine. I get that. You're like, are you even there? And maybe you're, and I know, obviously we're in a church, so we know you're there. But are you even do you even care about me in particular? Are you just some kind of deity that has left the throttle open on my suffering meter accidentally, and you're paying attention to something else? Are you actually? Do you exist, and are you good? Those are the things that you really come up you doubt when you're really going through it.
Right.
And that's actually, you're supposed to. That is part of this process.
It's built into the story. It's kind of amazing, isn't it?
He says spiritual life is usually brought to this extreme in times of trial because that is how a worldly life is snuffed out. Even during our despair, The Lord keeps our inmost parts engaged in a fight against falsity. Therefore, our despair is soon broken by the comfort he then instills. All spiritual trial is followed by comfort and by new life, so to speak. So it's not all bad. And that's what this is the last sort of long number we have here. And Moses cried out to Jehovah. So he's like, hey, would you help us out? Symbolizes inner mourning and intercession. This can be seen from the symbolism of crying out, when the cry is for divine help, which the people in their intense grief were demanding, as inner mourning and as intercession. Here's how it works. Intercession is present in all love, and accordingly in all mercy, because mercy is a part of love. And he gives an analogy of of course God cares about you. So one who loves or has mercy is constantly interceding. As examples can illustrate, a husband who loves his wife wants her to be received kindly by others and treated well. He does not say it in so many words, but is always thinking it. So he's always asking it silently and interceding for her. Like, mom and dad, just be nice to my, Parents do the same for their children, whom they love. You'd be like, you go argue with the ref because it's like, no, my kid did good. People with charity do the same for their neighbor, and friends do the same for friends. Clearly then, intercession is present in all love all the time. It is similar with the Lord's intercession on behalf of the human race, and specifically on behalf of people with the goodness and the truth that belong to faith. People are the objects of divine or infinite love and of divine or infinite mercy. So it's there.
It really gives me a sense of a new sense of the beauty of this story and how much love there is and how many good things are happening, even though you're hit by the next thing and so you're upset about that. And it also struck me a little bit in there that even that point about, because I feel the pain in that. I feel like I've been there like crying out to God, like, why are you even there? Do you care? Or something. And yet, he says that's helpful because it's destroying your old life. Like you're not thinking, did I make it to the top of the corporate ladder? Or, whatever your thing was, your project that you're working on. All of a sudden, the most important thing to you is this relationship with God. And if that's not working, you got nothing, right?
Yeah.
So you've shifted. And even though it's painful, that's very good that's what you want. Because what you want, you will get. You will get it.
Well, and you know what it's like? The Muppet Christmas Carol. Because, or like the Christmas Carol in general. Because what happens to Ebenezer Scrooge? Stop me if you've heard this. He goes through a very painful night. And in that night, in the Muppet version, he's shown like this he's going to marry this lady, but he was too greedy and selfish.
That's right.
Leaves. And sorry if I'm spoiling this for all of you. It's only been 100 million years since he wrote that book.
That's right.
He's shown like how he was arrogant and selfish, how he hurt all these people. Really, it's shown how people will laugh when he dies, and just like really rough night. And it's not in that moment that he like discovers the joy of Christmas, but when he wakes up the next morning and now has an understanding of like how his behavior impacted people, and how people matter, and Tiny Tim, and that Tiny Tim can be saved and we can do it. He's so excited that he knocks Gonzo and Rizzo off the ledge accidentally.
Yeah.
Like he's so excited. And that's, I'm not trying to say like in your struggles, you're like, oh, I love everyone. When you come back out and you come into this comfort and love, then there's this new like, oh, I can't believe they did it all in one night. Now I have my whole life before me to do this good stuff.
Yes, and that very despair, it's a great story because that motivates the next part of the action.
Yeah.
Right? He would not get to that next stage without that suffering. It seems so clear in that story.
So now we come finally to our water in the wilderness.
Okay.
In Secrets of Heaven 8:5-8:2, it says, and you are to strike the rock, means, and this is, I think, the most remarkable passage in this to me. It's very short. And you are to strike the rock means that they should insist on asking him, namely the Lord. This can be seen from the symbolism of striking as insisting on asking, but with a humble heart. So meaning like you're supposed to, and Swedenborg very rarely gives you like, here's how you pray, or here's how you do things.
Yeah.
But when you're in these times of trial, you keep asking like, take this away. Can you stop this? Can you please? I'm hurting. Keep doing that. And at the same time, say, hey, but you got to do what you got to do. I trust you to make the right call. And if you don't think that's good enough for you, who was it good enough for? Where? Jesus Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. When he's like praying, probably one of the most potent scenes in the gospel. He's saying, I don't want to do this crucifixion. Take this away from me. However, not as I will, but as you will, because there's a trust there and there's a love.
Mm.
And water will issue from it means that from him will come the truth that belongs to faith. You're asking God, and it's going to come. The water is going to come. And have the people drink it means which will revive them and give them spiritual life. This can be seen from the symbolism of drinking as being taught religious truth, and therefore as giving someone spiritual life and reviving that life.
It sort of makes me think with that juxtaposition of what we were talking about earlier, that there's a time when the praying doesn't do you much good. And especially when it's just sort of belly aching about, I don't like what's going on and I want this to end or something. That's not very effective.
You could hear my
at that
prayers,
point in your life, you need to take action. You need to change some things. But once some things have started to change and the siphon process is going, then later on, praying a lot, like really being insistent, humble. I heard that in there, which is another kind of a paradox, isn't it? Because it's humble, but it's asking insistently, like, please, please show up. Please give me these things that I need.
So if we were to give you a formula for what do you do when you're in a time of crisis, or when you're going through something that's difficult, here's my shot at it. Let me know.
Good.
Okay. Step number one, realize this is part of the process. Like this is happening because it was going to happen through divine providence, and it's only happening because something good could come out of it. Second of all, you got to fight. You got to use your goodness and truth and try to do everything you can do. Also, by the way, you're not going to win this war. God's going to win it. And when it happens, acknowledge that. But keep on, when you get done your fighting for the day, hey, can you take this away? Like, are you there? I want to feel better again. Please, can I? And know that eventually water's going to come out of that rock, or the manna's going to fall from the sky, or the water's going to become sweet. Whatever it is you need at that time, God is going to provide that.
And understanding the process seems so important, doesn't it? You and I were talking this morning about the analogy of let's say a 4-year-old girl who has to go through some kind of surgery. If she doesn't understand what's going on, she thinks the nurses are her enemies, or she thinks the doctor's trying to hurt her, or the whole thing's bad and terrifying. She's in one state. If she can have an understanding, it's difficult to give to somebody at that age, but if she can have an understanding, this is fixing something, this is good, these people love you, they're helping you, what a different mindset. And we're all in that boat. We're all going through some kind of psychic surgery and not understanding. And so having some understanding, I love that Swedenborg wanted so much. He went through a lot of suffering, He went through a lot of suffering, and he writes about that. And for him to try to pass on, like, this is what I learned about this, and I eventually came to understand this is the path. You're on it, and good things are happening. And so I think that can really lessen the sting of it and gives you some action items in there.
Yeah, and just know all of you tonight have advanced because you've had to suffer through more than an hour of us talking. And thank you for doing that. That's the end of our show.